Hi, everybody. Um, I'm waiting for the meeting to start. So once it starts, I'm going to put this up here. All right. And
The webinar will be shortly. Please remain on the line.
so we got a webinar going on with the police reform. So once it gets started, I'll pull up the screen. And then last week it was Mr. Mix. Oh, here it is.
Starting. All attendees are in
Starting.
listen-only mode.
Yeah, I'll put them over there to the side. So we're waiting for the meeting to start in a minute. Who you see on the screen, that's the city manager, Ken Mix. So here in a minute, they're going to announce who would like to speak. And then I got to take my phone and type in there that I want to speak. And then when it's my turn, he'll unmute me and I can talk to him about questions that I have. So what I'm going to be talking about to the chief said that he has taught a class on the Constitution. So I want to talk to him about the First Amendment. I want to talk to him about Mayberry versus Madison. And I want to talk to him about Mr. Robarb versus the city of Potsdam or the town of Potsdam regarding the freedom of speech issue there. There it goes. We're live.
In a couple minutes, we'll give it a couple more to let people log in.
So if you're just joining us, we're doing a police reform with the city of Watertown. That's Mr. Ken Mix. He's the city manager. And also the chief of police, Chief Donahue, should be joining us also. Last week, there was the district attorney, Christina Mills. She joined last week, so she might be there this week also. So what I was saying, what I was going to bring up was the First Amendment and also Mayberry versus Madison. I was going to bring up that historical case. And I was going to bring up U.S. Law 18242. It all has to do with our Constitution. My plan is to talk about 4 topics, and hopefully they allow me to say what I have to say. Last week didn't go so smooth because Mr. Mix was trying to rush me. I had a lot of questions. So for those of you that are watching, can you talk to me in the chat just to make sure everything's coming through clear? That you guys can hear me and everything's going?
Okay, let's get started. Welcome, everyone. We've got 25 attendees this evening so far. This is the second of our listening sessions for the police reform plan we have to put together by April 1st. Tonight I'm going to go over a few things before I open it up to comments and questions, but if you would like to make a comment or question, please type something into the questions box and I'll call on you and then unmute you, and we'll go from there. So far, with our listening sessions and stakeholder meetings and emails I've gotten for you this evening to add to them or make comments on them, but I've put them in 4 categories: procedural justice and community relations, staffing, accountability, and crisis intervention. Under procedural justice and community relations, I've heard we should engage the youth more, engage with people of color in a better way, get implicit bias training for our police officers, do more diversity training, suggestion for a police appreciation day. There was also a suggestion that we should require officers to live within cities so that they know the community a little bit better by living here. And then there was also a suggestion that we should improve relationships with law enforcement of Fort Drum, because a good number of our population are soldiers. Under staffing, there's been suggested that we need to have more police officers, that they need more training in general, that we should pay attention to their wellness, and that our staff needs more diversity. Under accountability, suggestions have included cameras, both body worn and in-car cameras, and there should be a community accountability board that oversees issues that arise with the police department. Under crisis intervention, there was a lot of discussion about the need for training in that area. Ideas that have come from the county would include virtual mental health responses with police officers, also mental health law enforcement referral system for those after they're released from police custody, where they should be sent. And there was also quite a bit of discussion on drug and alcohol issues, which sometimes lead into crisis and other crimes. And again, that's my takeaway so far, and those are some of the focus areas that I think we'll need to be talking about in our plan. With that, I'll open it up to comments and questions. And just like I said, write anything in the question box, and on you and unmute you. You'll have to unmute yourself. Both. I'll unmute this, and you'll have to unmute yourself on your end also. All right. Right now we've got 2 up. First one's Donnie Lee Berriger. And Donnie, I'm going to give you one warning that get off topic, we're going to have to cut you off. All right, I got to find you here, Donnie. Sorry, my screen disappeared for a second there. Okay, Donnie, you're self-muted. Okay.
All right.
Be on now.
Hear me, Mr. Mix?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you.
Is same thing. Do we have the chief on also? Is he available? Can you unmute him?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Okay, Chief, you have to unmute yourself. What? All right, we're having problems here.
Can you hear me?
Yep, you're on now.
Okay. All right.
All right, Chief.
Go ahead, Donnie.
Okay, Chief. Last time we spoke, you mentioned that you train officers on the Constitution. Is that correct?
we train them on the constitutional amendments, mainly that pertain to law enforcement.
Okay, so you do talk about the First Amendment in your training then?
Yes.
Okay, so I just wanted to make sure that this is, now, what I would also like to talk about, since you're teaching about the First Amendment, do you teach Mayberry versus Madison in your class?
Marbury versus Madison?
Yes. Marbury versus Madison. Do you know?
No, we don't delve that far into it.
Okay. Now, how
For
about,
the First Amendment is police related. You're basically just talking about, freedom of speech, freedom of the press, and the right to peaceably assemble. We don't really deal with, for instance, establishment of a religion or, petitioning the government for redress of the grievances, that kind of thing. So it's not an in-depth look at the Constitution like you're taking a semester long.
okay, I understand.
It itself.
Now, this could probably be added to what you talk about, maybe 5 minutes.
Versus Madison is about
Okay, that is when,
unconstitutional law, right?
yes. Okay,
How would that pertain to?
well, what I'm asking is if you already teach that class, maybe that's something that could be added as a bullet point. Let's move on.
That's not a problem.
Okay, cool. Thank you. So let's move on to the next thing that I have is, do you know what section 242 title 18 is? And do you know what that is?
Say it again.
Section
I
240,
couldn't hear you. Say that again.
section 242 title 18.
Again, I heard section 2 and nothing after.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not sure what's going on with my connection.
No, try it again.
All right. Section 242, Title 18.
Yeah, Title 18, 241, and 242. Yeah.
Okay. So real quickly, I would just like
Went over
to.
those in the supervisor school a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, perfect. So for those that are listening, I would like to quickly go over that law. For the purpose of Section 242, acts under color of law includes acts not only done by federal, state, or local officials within their lawful authority, but also acts done beyond the bounds that officials laws authorities. If the acts were done while the official is purporting or pretending an act in the performance of his or her official duties, persons acting under color law with this meaning on the statute include police officers, prison guards, and other law enforcement officials, as long as judges, or as well as judges, care providers, and public health facilities, and others who are acting as public officials. So this is the law. I just gave a brief overview, but this is the law. Whosoever, under color of any law, statute, ordinance, regulation, or custom, willfully subjects any person in any state, territory, commonwealth, possession, or district of any rights or the laws of the United States shall be fined this title or imprisonment not more than 1 year, or both. And if bodily injury results from the acts committed in violation of this section, or such acts include the use of attempted use or threatened use of dangerous weapon, 10 years, or both. And if death results from the acts committed in violation of this section. So what it goes on to talk about is how elected officials are the ones that would be charged with this law. And I'm glad that you have mentioned that the First Amendment is something that you teach and that it's relevant to our conversation, and that this law you also teach. So I'm glad that maybe not more than supervisors, maybe all officers should be taught what that law is. What do you think, Chief?
Yeah, that's not an issue.
Okay, perfect. So far this has been going pretty good. Thank you. So I got one more thing I would like to bring up is can you teach the First Amendment case up in Potsdam with Mr. Robar? Is that something that can be added to the teachings?
What's the Robar case?
The one with the toilets that the Potsdam Tri-1800s First Amendment or all constitutional law. And
Marbury. It's Marbury, not Mayberry.
yeah, I keep messing it up, right? I keep messing up that. Thank you for correcting me. But yeah, Mr. Robar in Potsdam, is that something you could add? Because that's the most recent First Amendment case that I'm aware of, especially in the North Country.
Yeah, sure. That's no problem.
Well, perfect. And those are my questions for tonight, and I appreciate your time.
No problem.
All right,
Thank you, Donnie.
Yep, thank you, Chief. Thank you, Mr. Mix.
Chief, I'm going to leave you unmuted on my end. You can mute yourself on your end
Okay.
until another question comes up. Next person.
Am I still on mute, everybody?
Sure.
All right, you can't hear Mr. Mix, right? I can only my. All right. All right, everybody. So I just spoke to Mr. Mix and the Chief of Police, Chief Donahue. And as you heard, I talked about
Can you hear me now?
a couple laws.
Okay.
This time it was very smooth.
Police chief for emailing me the link for the standards and compliance verification manual from the state. And wanted to thank him for that email. One of my questions there that I typed in the box to you, Mr. Mix, was you keep mentioning for all intents and purposes, the board in regards to who is on this board or on this group.
All right, so if you're just joining, I expect them speaking with the chief and Mr. Mix. So if you want, you can go back and watch that. But I'm just gonna leave this playing. Just listen to it. I mean, if you guys want to talk to me in the comments, you guys can talk to me in the comments.
Yep. Well, we don't really have a formal committee. We're consulting with the stakeholders and have met.
So there you go. If you guys want, I don't know how clear it came in. I mean, as you can see, I just have it up on my cell phone.
From them as well as any public that wants to talk.
So I don't really know how.
Sessions and email, and we'll be the ones synthesizing things into the report. The executive order required that certain stakeholders consulted. They included members of the police department. One of the optional ones is a member of the police union, and they're represented. The district attorney's office, public defenders, community members, members of faith institutions, elected officials. Let's see, we've got a couple.
I thought it was a set group. That was probably my misunderstanding then.
Other communities have had formal committees and committee structures. We've decided to go a little more informal on that. So we're gathering input from that group. It's in a different setting. And many of those people are actually on this call, and were on this call last week. So.
It was touched upon last week, and then, like I said again, the chief sent me the information. Probably a lot of this.
All right, everybody. So
put out this
if you want to
but then again, I was
watch this live, continue watching it.
Big cabinets full of stuff.
You can go to News Junkie, and there will be a link there.
It was mentioned the other day about
you have to download an app.
That should the city police department get body.
But if you want to, this is scheduled to go on up to 9 o'clock. So there's going to be quite a bit more. I hope they don't cut it short. They cut it a half hour short last week. But they put me in first.
Oh. System. I'm just, excuse me for the noise in the background.
They put me in first, so That's good. So hopefully,
I guess I've been trying to prepare notes. In the
what's
last
up, Elise? Have I been coming in clear?
But in regards, what is the city looking into as far as the budgetary process? Should the city go that
I was
route?
just gonna get ready to end it because I'm just gonna
Are they aware
finish
of
this
the
meeting
expense
watching it.
and that it
But
has
if you guys wanna
system?
watch it, you're gonna have to go to News Junkie.
Yeah, we realize that the
And
storage
then
is gonna be
you gotta
an
scroll
annual
down
ongoing
through News
expense,
Junkie
and
and there will be a
it won't
link.
necessarily be cheap.
And then to download the app,
Last
and then you
year,
gotta
they,
give them your name and your email, and then you can
budget,
sign right in.
To get the cameras, with COVID and everything,
So,
we had to
it's
cut
not
out a
very
lot of
clear.
things.
Well, I'm sorry.
For that, I anticipate that we'll be
It
discussing.
didn't
that
go over
with the
very
city
well, I'm
council this
sorry.
year,
I
but,
tried.
Yeah, we understand that,
2021 and this should work, right? It worked in my head. It works in my head. But anyway, that's all I'm gonna stream for tonight. Cause I'm gonna finish this
A
meeting.
couple of things that I asked you about in questions.
Thanks
there,
for coming
I guess
by.
it goes in a different direction than what this is intended to purpose. And what I'll probably end up having to do is